Welcome to Build Out Brief. This is Jim Kunkel, and I so appreciate your support of the Build Out live stream that broadcasts each Wednesday at noon Eastern Daylight Time. The live stream that you're watching right now will be starting in just 1 minute. Let me take this opportunity to talk about Build Out Brief. This content series is a result of viewers like you who overwhelmingly requested that I add a supplemental series to Build Out that centers on professional business topics, is more focused, and global on guests. If you're thinking about starting a live stream, then StreamYard is a platform for you. It's what I use to build you Build Out Brief. After the stream, see the comment or the description section for my special savings referral link. Now, when it comes to having a professional live stream and winning over viewers, you need to make sure that your graphics and supporting promotional items are the best. All of the creative content for Build Out and Build Out Brief are designed and produced with Canva. You should check out Canva. See the comment or description section for my special Canva referral link. I'm Jim Kunkel, and welcome to Build Out Brief. Joining me this evening is MJ Calloway, Eleni Anastos, and Sam Navarro. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Jim, happy to be here.
Hey, happy to be here, and we're kind of winding up the year called 2021. How about that?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like the year went so fast. It's amazing, and we're going to be entering into 2022 here before you know it. So, I thought we'd get together as a team and talk a little bit about 2021 and do a year-end review. What's everybody think about that? You ready?
Ready to go.
Excellent. So, the first topic that I wanted to cover is the aspect of working from home. And that's for real. Working from home has been such an amazing thing that has transpired here, starting really in 2020, and it really manifested strongly here in 2021. A lot of people thought we'd return back to the office. Then early this year, we started seeing reports like you had companies like Microsoft and people like Apple saying, we're really not going to kind of get back. We're going to have the ability to work from home, work remote, and have sometimes a blended office. And MJ, before the stream started, you were sharing with me, MJ and I live in the Pittsburgh metro area, about an office building that a friend of yours works in. What was going on with that office building, MJ? I'm kind of curious to let everybody know about that.
So it is a huge high-rise corporate building, and the first floor of it is an upscale restaurant. And of course, like many restaurants, they closed in 2020. Prior to that, they had a lunch and a dinner menu. And what happened was most of the corporations in this building, and it's probably somewhere around 15, 20 stories, most of the corporations did not come back. So this upscale restaurant, they did not, whenever they did open, they did not continue with a lunch menu. They are now only open for dinner time because most of their customers for the lunch, for their lunch time menu was within that building. But the executive chef, who's a friend of mine, he said what the companies realized was it was cheaper for them to pay the rent, to pay the lease and all the utilities because everything was cut back rather than bring in their employees. Because when their employees came, then they had to pay for their parking passes for the garage. They had to pay for, lunchtime. A lot of them had paid for lunches to be brought in, plus the increase in all their utilities. So they found out it was less expensive for them just to have everyone work from home. Crazy.
Yeah, over the last number of months, I encountered some professionals that work in commercial leasing, and they said that there were a lot of companies that instead of making a decision to pull out of an office location just to keep that lease going, you never know, maybe there will be kind of a return to work, but most of them were saying, listen, we're just going to have this because we need to have the branding. We need to show a physical location. That's the type of company we are. And for us to force people to come back in the office doesn't make a lot of sense because they did realize that there was a cost savings. And a lot of companies realized too that there was no interruption in business. There was no interruption in performance and things like that. So there was a way to kind of balance everything out. Sam, you're in the Houston metro area. How has Houston fared when it comes to office spaces and locations?
So I think that it's just like hotels, right, or hospitality, where if you go and you stay at a certain hotel, you're not getting your rooms cleaned every night like you used to get your room serviced, right? You're not there. Maybe they're not offering room service anymore, or things are taking. Everybody's trying to get back to gain all their losses from 2020. They thought they were going to do it at 2021. That didn't happen. It actually got worse, right? I think that the pivotal change, or the pivotal moment rather, will be whenever the companies start losing money and they don't feel that the synergy is there with the teams, then it's going to be a quick rush to have everybody back at the office.
Yeah.
You have a select group of folks that can work from home, but I've officed out of my house since 2013. And so I'm pretty good at it, right? I have upstairs and I have my whole office set up, and I don't go downstairs and get caught up with a dog or mow the lawn at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday or anything like that. And it's so easy to get wrapped up in that you have to be disciplined. And I think that as soon as companies start seeing people taking advantage of it, I saw a great meme the other day that showed John Daly on a cell phone putting. And it says, that feeling when you're working from home and your boss says that he wants to jump on a video conference. Right. It's one of those things that eventually I think that more accountability is going to be needed because there are a lot of folks who are taking advantage of it. And as soon as a company feels that, they're going to rush to get back in the office.
That's a good point. Eleni, you're in a state that did not shut down or really do any type of restrictions. Is it everything kind of the way it was like in 2019 in Florida? Because, I hear so many things about Florida.
Yes, Florida is wide open, but working from home, because I too have worked from home and independent consultant for many years now. And I think it is so important, if remote is still what's best, or whoever is deciding that. And kind of to Sam's point, some may take advantage of it, but then there are so many people that they've never been thrust into that situation before. So they need clear guidance. They need to be taught how to effectively and efficiently work from home. So sometimes, yes, of course, it's human nature. Someone may take advantage of it, but others may not realize, like Sam said, I'm not going to go down and get in the deal with the dog and what's going on, where too often many people, because I know I did that in the beginning too. Oh, I'm working from home. Oh, well, then you can take care of this, or you can help a neighbor at any time. I'm like, no, I'm still working. It's just from home. So having that discipline, having that structure, and making sure, give your folks the support, the guidance, the structure, because if they don't have that kind of discipline when they're home, it could be a tough situation for anybody to be in, to be fully productive, to be really efficient. And I think above all, you've really got to put the effort into maintaining that community, that cohesiveness. We've all been isolated so much the last, 2 years. And like, I'm grateful, I'm connected to all of you, even though we don't live in the same area, but we put the time into connecting. We meet, we talk, we Zoom. And I think too much of that was not even on the radar, that, you still need to cultivate the relationships and the community, even though everybody is working remotely.
That's a great point.
I do think that, the smart employers are starting to do it, where you come into the office Tuesdays and Thursdays or Mondays and trying to ease people back into it.
Sure.
Because what happened is folks they stopped their bus, here in Houston, we have mass transit, right? So they canceled their bus passes, or they canceled their park and rides, or they're not having to pay the fuel and the maintenance that it takes to get, to downtown. Everything's an hour in Houston, right? To get to one side of town's an hour easy. Jim, you've been here plenty. And so that cost savings that they did, throwing them back in, is just going to it needs to be handled correctly.
Right.
Gabe, welcome.
Hello, Jim. How are you? Hello, MJ.
Hey, good day.
Um, hey, everybody. Finally, nice to meet all of you.
Yes.
I've seen plenty of your shows. Now I've actually get the opportunity to say hello in person.
It's great to have you. We were actually on in the first topic talking about the working from home, and a lot of
Yes.
great points were made. You work from home predominantly, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. So I do both a hybrid. So I do work both remotely and I do go into the office. So I do both. Um, and you know what? There's been times where um, you still kind of see the pleasure in actually being in with people and having like real close conversations.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I love doing this. This is what I love doing and having interviews and talking with people. But there's also something about the kinetic part of just being um, close to somebody, shaking a hand, saying hello, um, and feeling just somebody's like energy. So that's kind of what I always love about still being able to do both.
Hmm.
Um, so I get why we do it, um, because I know sometimes it's especially like things that we're still working through now with the whole nother variant, all this other stuff that we're about to go through for a third time. Hopefully, we're better prepared for it, um, but I still enjoy the fact that I get to say hello to somebody, holding a cup of coffee and just asking a question like in person, how are you doing?
Yeah.
There's something to that
Yes.
that I
Yeah,
really enjoy.
you have a fan here. Heidi says
Oh,
hi.
hello, Heidi. I've seen, yes. Heidi's awesome as well. Um, I,
Yeah, and I appreciate you mentioning the energy, the kinetic energy and feeding off of each other, which to me it makes hybrid in so many ways the ideal because just like feeding off of the good energy, we can absorb that negative energy
Mhm.
too. And it's like, oh shit, I got to sit with them again tomorrow. Nope, tomorrow I get to work from home.
Yes.
it,
Prior to the pandemic, I had a co-working space. So I would go there and some days I'd work from home. And then it closed, during the pandemic and it has
mm,
not opened again. So I miss that. And as you had said, that energy, I miss that energy, that connection, that just even grabbing lunch together. It's something that you can't do when you're working from home. Well, I guess we could get on Zoom and eat at the same time.
Yeah.
yeah, I think something's lost in translation, though, in
Definitely.
between it being there and here and saying, um, again, just being able to be in the close proximity. And I think there's something a little bit more intimate about being in that space with other people. So I think that's one of the things that no matter how hard we try here on video, that just does not translate about being in person with somebody. So I love that you were talking about that, MJ. I would love to have a co-working space at some point as well. That would be ideal.
Yes,
Uh,
I am in the process of looking for another one.
So let's go ahead and move on to our second topic, which is going from global to local. And Sam, I'm going to go to you first because you're a super big advocate, and rightly so, for doing business local. Recently, you just had a post for, I believe, a butcher shop that opened up. That was it 1836? Is that correct?
1836 Butchers,
Yeah,
yeah.
look pretty good. So let me get
Wow.
your perspective about global. The pandemic really kind of messed things up globally. We rely so much on global imports. Now that we're starting to really look at the local aspect, I'd like to get your opinion on that movement.
The global thing, we've been in trouble for years. So this isn't a COVID thing. This isn't a
Mhm.
pandemic thing or a administration thing as much as it is. We just haven't really done very well globally, bringing in and sourcing materials. I think it's more important to talk about just local as far as the U.S. So in the U.S. and in my business, right,
Mhm.
is a lot of owners have gone to these massive companies who are sending folks all over the country and have all these satellite offices. And what happens is they're starting to lose that traction of what made their company great. And so what you're seeing now, especially through the pandemic and in my sector of the business, is acquisitions are happening every day, right? And so when an acquisition happens, the common message is nothing's going to change. Everything's going to be just the same, and every little entity is going to operate the way that it's operated for years, and all the people you know and love are not going to change. Fact of the matter is, the guy that has the wallet makes all the decisions, right? And so that's going to change. And so I really feel that we have to do our best bet to put our best forward to the customers that we can actually reach, to have that cup of coffee or to have that conversation. Because I'll tell you, the biggest differentiator between me and others, and I'm speaking personally, is somebody can call me on the phone and I will answer the phone and I can be to them usually within an hour, just depending on traffic or, the situation. But I think that the pandemic proved one thing, and that proved that personal connection and that absolute one-on-one can overcome everything. We like to think as the world is this huge place with a lot of opportunities for everybody, and it is. But at the end of the day, you still need that person to pick up the phone and have a problem. I'll give you a prime example, right? So I was in a pinch and needed to order wall calendars, and I went through a connection of mine that happened to know somebody here in Houston that can make wall calendars for me. And through a couple of text messages, I got my wall calendars in 4 days from someone in Houston, and I was able to go and pick them up right then and there. I wasn't worried about getting them printed or ordering them from some online shop that I don't know where they're at in which country and hope that they get here. I was able to pick them up in Houston. And that's a huge, you may pay 5% more up front, but that the security of knowing where you're buying your stuff is worth everything.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And I appreciate that. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But what you said a few times, Sam, which means the most to me as well, is it's the relationship. Because to me, relationships have been and always will be the real currency. And thankfully, it was a local connection. But like we have relationships and we're not in the same geographic area, but we may be able to, Jim could reach out to me and I could find him somebody in Florida and vice versa. But taking the time to cultivate that relationship, because, the way I was raised in the restaurant business is that success is a long game. And it's the relationships that matter most. My grandfather always said, we're only as good as our last meal. We were taught to better our best and to look at cultivating relationships, not seeing dollar signs on people's foreheads.
Absolutely.
It's the relationships that matter most.
Yeah. MJ, a couple weeks ago, you had done on your Bounce Up broadcast about the small business was it Saturday? That's
Saturday
for the American Express.
Saturday.
Can you talk a little bit about your interactions with small businesses?
Sure. One of the things that I did realize prior to, after the pandemic and during it, was the relationships that I had built with my clients, who they are small to mid-size. And I can't say all of them because I work with a manufacturer who's $100 billion a year in revenue company. With the relationship that I had built with them, and whenever they were running into a problem, I had a number of clients who would either call me or text me, because a lot of times they text instead, or email me and say, hey, I'm running into this problem. Do you know anybody who does blank? Because the supply chain, as we all know, there was issues with the supply chain and with logistics. So that, for me, building that relationship, going back to what Sam and Elena said, but it's that sense of community. And I felt that we as a nation, we were digging down into our communities stronger than any time we have, say, in the last 10 years. During the pandemic, we were trying to support our restaurants. We were trying to support our small businesses. And I think that has continued, at least I feel like in our community here in Pittsburgh, I feel like we have continued to do that. And it's supporting them. It's putting out that post. It's giving that review. It's saying, hey, every time I'm at a small business, I am checking in so anybody on my social platforms can see I'm supporting that business.
Well, those small businesses are the ones that sponsor your kids' softball teams, or they're the ones that
Yes.
buy chocolate from you. You know what I mean? Those are the ones
Right.
that are really part of your community. So I mean, I agree with everything you just said. It's just a matter of not forgetting is the biggest key, because now that things are coming back, and now that the world is somewhat trying to get back to normal, it's very easy as Americans to get back into that creature of habit and
Mhm.
go right back to where we were pre-pandemic.
Right.
So the next
Yes.
topic is going to be one that I know everyone on this panel can talk about, is regarding the, oh, I skipped it. Oh no, let's go. Yep. Social engagement. Sorry. I thought I hit the wrong one. When we're looking at social, the influencers, and the, what we call micro influencers, 2021, we've seen a huge swing, even more so, of TikTok. LinkedIn Live. We can all speak about broadcasting and about the rise of LinkedIn Live over 2021. It was huge. Gabe, let me talk with you about this. Start off with you. You have the LinkedIn live streams community group. Can you talk about the community and how important it is and its rise?
Oh, of course. Yes, yes, yes. So, to say not the least of anything, that if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's shown us the power of video, and it's kind of made us force and change the way that just like we were talking earlier about how remote working and everything else. It's changed the way that we've kind of learned how to interact with each other. Education, when we realized education could be passed along this way. Businesses had to be conducted, things had to continue on out of necessity. But now that it's becoming um, more open and more optional, people see the value in it. And I
Mhm.
think that's where this community of where live streaming and even seeing influencers become more prominent is because we know that our messages and the things that we share out there are going to reach our audience. They're going to resonate with people that come and tune in every time that we're on and what we're talking about. And whether we know it or not, we're building a very strong authority in whatever field that you're actually talking about. So again, if it's business, if it's mental health,
Mhm.
if it's talking even about just being an influencer in general, people will go out there and they go, I love what this person talks about. I love what they share, and I take lessons from it. And I think that's why a lot of small businesses, I see a lot of even corporate businesses starting to get into this flow of saying, we want to make content um, because they're starting to realize that it is a valuable asset. It's just on how you actually use it and brand it. So that's why you're going to see it grow even more in 2022. I believe that we're just scratching the iceberg of what's about to happen. There's going to be so much more to come.
One impactful thing that happened for me recently in this year, last Tuesday, with Jill Alexander from Safeways, we co-hosted a special regarding mental health.
Mm.
I'm sorry, mental health in the trades, and we had near 90 watching us in and out through the live. The reviews of the replays added an additional 250 roughly. And I had all week, the rest of last week and this weekend, I've been receiving direct messages, DMs, and also messages from people saying, thank you for doing that. And for me, a lot of people ask, why do I do content like this? Build out brief. It's because it's an opportunity for me to give to the LinkedIn community or any
Mhm.
community of professionals, but it's also a great opportunity for me to get feedback and look at the support that I'm getting from my viewers. And that really is what motivates me and drives me. And it gives me an opportunity to meet all of you. Sam, you and I have been friends for a long time, but Gabe, Elaney, MJ, we met through this medium. This is how we all met,
Yes.
and we have a strong friendship and a great bond. So I really appreciate this opportunity to do this and work on this platform and get content out there that people really find value in.
Well, I think it's it's like I commented on your post earlier. Just because I'm in the corrosion industry and you're in the corrosion industry, there's mental health issues in
Oh,
athletics and banking and, finance and insurance, in every single sector of our world, you've got mental health issues, and nobody talks about it, right? Everybody wants to kind of hide it, especially in certain industries. You don't want to talk about it. So I can appreciate every single one of y'all's streams that I've seen so far, because I just have to translate that, and how can I put that into action in my world?
Yes. And the other, both Gabe and Jim had mentioned, even though we're talking about video and we're talking about live streaming, it's still, we're building communities. We're building communities, and we're reaching each other, and we're building those relationships, regardless of the topic or the content. It's still, we're going back to communities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not just any communities. Your community now, your neighborhood is, like what I like to call it, is now halfway across the world. I was actually on a live stream this morning. There were people from India. There were people from Africa. He had people from Thailand, with the gentleman's show that I was on this morning, coming in, commenting, and being a part of the conversation. Now, how other way can you describe being able to reach people that you've never met, never seen, but yet you're still able to resonate with what you're doing? That, my friends, is the power of live video, and why I continue to push this medium going forward. This is actually my career going forward, and there's a lot of wonderful things that I have in store for what I'm about to start sharing with people. So I love the fact that you guys take the time, and especially Jim, for helping people build their message, just like he says, build out their messages, because it makes an impact whether we know it or not. Those messages that he's been getting, that's somebody's life that they've affected.
Yes.
And that to me is where the value in everything that I do. The monetary stuff is fun, but to me, that's the true enjoyment and pureness that I get out of it.
Changing someone's life. You're able to change
100%.
someone's life that you would never have been able to reach if we didn't have this platform.
Yes, yes to all the above. And again, just to reinforce and echo, so I'm like getting excited that it still is a community, like what MJ say, to Gabe saying, we're all saying it still is a community, and to embrace that. Because I know, especially, and I don't think anything is ever 100% bad or 100% good. And again, some of the good that's come out of the insanity of the last 20 plus months is that we have been pushed into doing things differently, and creating the global community, like you were just mentioning, I think is so beautiful. And especially for people to embrace that. Sure, it would be nice if we could run out the door and meet for a cup of coffee. Maybe someday we will. We're in the same, zip code or time zone. But that sense of community and belonging, and going back to what we all talked about in the beginning, it's cultivating those connections. It's cultivating the relationships. And that, to me, it doesn't matter what industry we're in. We're all in different industries, but we're all relationship oriented, and we're all building communities.
So for 2021, a very big impactor had been the Great Resignation. We had a lot of the baby boomers generation decide in 2020 and in 2021 to go ahead and hang it up and retire. There have been people who have, in fact, I told a story where I actually had an Uber driver who was a computer IT person who decided he just couldn't take it anymore and decided to quit. He's driving Uber and he's trying to work other jobs. And it was just curious, and I asked him, I said, why would you just give that up? And he's like, I was just tired of doing the job I was doing. This trend that had happened in 2020 and 2021 intensified, the Great Resignation. What's some of the cause behind it, in your opinions? What are some of the causes to that?
Oh, I have one right away.
Go ahead.
I think for a lot of people, it was taking the opportunity to chase that dream of entrepreneurship, and stepping into a realm that they've always wanted to, but now, because of everything that was going on, felt that it was time to take the risk. And seeing some of the people actually do it and flourish, that's the magic for me. That is awesome for me. and I know that's been a big thing. Hey, Dad,
I finished.
good
A
job.
budding entrepreneur coming in.
Dave.
He is
Yeah.
We're actually starting a YouTube channel for him, so yes.
Oh, how much fun. Hey,
Yeah.
he gave you a thumbs up.
Hey, give it a thumbs up.
No,
There you go.
Well, I love seeing in people that first of all, the courage, because obviously, I mean, everybody's life was turned upside down. Everybody was impacted in some way when this all began. But for the people that chose to step up, because what was available to them yesterday just might not have been an option today. And, you know, the word pivot was used up one end and down the other. And I'm all about reinvention. And I think you can reinvent yourself to any degree at any age, regardless of circumstance. So I think it's exciting that people gave themselves the opportunity to make that shift, to start something new, because I believe without question that everybody's got, you know, the depth of skill set, experience, expertise. I've talked to a lot of folks who've said, but this is all I've ever done. And I get that, you know, you've been in an occupation for 20, 30 years plus, who knows? But people were not giving themselves enough credit for the skill set that it took to get there, for the experience it took to do that. So it may be all you've ever done, but it's not all that you are. And to remember that you can transfer all that wonderful knowledge into another arena. And I just applaud everybody that's had the courage to reinvent and step up to the plate to do that.
I think
Yeah.
people started having fun in ways that they hadn't had fun before. Right. So, I mean, you all of a sudden saw people started walking in parks on a random Tuesday afternoon who have never walked before in a park and enjoyed a simple picnic out back, you know, with their family or just a long drive. You know, when the pandemic hit, my daughter had to come home from school, and every evening when I got home from work, sit on the patio, you know, have a fire and just talk for hours, right? And like just do all those things. And I think it showed a lot of the folks who were in the place to retire, like, hey, we've hit our threshold and we've gone through enough of the BS. You know, let's enjoy what we have because it can be taken away, you know, quickly. It can. It's what I tell people all the time is you have to live your life like it's the last day on earth, because we literally had that happen to us 2 years ago, you know, where they shut everything that we know down.
Yeah.
And we were put in a more uncomfortable position than we've ever been put in our lives.
So true. So true. So let's
I
go
have-
to, go ahead.
I have one of my neighbors was a trainer and he quit and started to work as a dishwasher. So he went completely the opposite way. But he said he was tired of the stress, he was burnt out, and he went the complete opposite way. So he didn't have a family to support, so he could actually do it. But he said, I wanted a mindless job. And that's exactly what he had taken, was something where all he had to do is go in, punch that clock, do that job, and leave again.
Oh, God bless. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go to the last topic for the evening, which is we're going to be talking about inflation. You know, we've seen rising energy prices. We've seen rising cost of goods to buy in the stores. Raw materials have gone up, and it just seems to be a trend that's probably, unfortunately, not going to end anytime soon. I even have seen some improvement in, I shop at the Walmart, and there's been sometimes where you have empty parts of the store to some extent, and then you start to see it replenished again. So we're having the supply chain issues still these days. Anyone want to talk a little bit about the inflation, or let's say complain about inflation?
I don't want to complain about it, but I feel for those in any part of retail as well that have no control over it. A grocery store I go to right across the street. Love the employees there, developed relationships with them. And the last time I was there, the cashier apologized for the total of my bill. She's like, I'm so sorry. I said, I know. I didn't buy filet mignon or lobster or gold leaf napkins. And so I feel for them as well, because, you know, obviously the person closest to you is often going to catch the brunt of what that consumer may be feeling. So it's just impacting people on every side, and folks need to be mindful of that too.
Yeah, we had October was the worst month with consumer prices. It jumped over 6%. So, we see this just increasing.
Yeah.
I might get. Oh, go ahead.
There was a survey that I had pulled up that said 88% of Americans are concerned about the cost of inflation, and they are already looking in 5 areas to start cutting budgets. So that's going to have a whole nother issue of
Huge.
problems, another venue of problems. Because the first place where they said that they would cut back on is restaurants, takeout meals. And that industry has been hit so hard already.
Yeah.
So if the rising prices of food continue, the restaurant and hospitality is going to be hit again.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, excuse me, just like anything, inflation, a lot of the things that we're going through. I've always said it's cyclical how it happens. And I think it kind of coincided with us getting a new presidency, with us getting a lot of things changing. So, hey, sweetheart, I got the kiddos running around. So this is how it is. This is the post-pandemic life that's always stayed around. So, yes, sweetheart. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. But yes, I do feel like what we're going through. We see the inflation happening, and this is always the same sort of deal that happens. We don't see the salaries rising to match,
Right.
so there's always that gap that we see. That's why you see people struggle, because like inflation grows faster than the rate of what we actually kind of adjust salaries to. So people have to go through that and go, man, the same things that I used to make, the same amount of money that I used to make, doesn't reach the same amount anymore. And you have to go back and reevaluate how you budget everything. And just like you were saying, so all the extras that you do, going to restaurants and all that stuff, it suffers because we just no longer can't afford it, because we still want to continue to have the basics that we need to exist, and those people that depend on us to go out there and do that and work in the entertainment and hospitality industries, they're probably the first that suffer, and that sucks, because there's a lot of good people, a lot of good businesses that suffer, and eventually for some of them it's the end of the line because they can't maintain, and that's that's part of the wave of what we go through here. So I feel the pain, because I know that there's a lot of people out there who are still going through it and trying to figure out ways to kind of just make it on what they have now. And that's why I think that's part of what kind of led a lot of people into what our last topic was, is because like, you know what, I gotta take the opportunities now that I wouldn't have taken before, because you don't know exactly, just like Sam was saying earlier, what's going to happen. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and that's the scary part for a lot of people, is that's tough, and it all rolls into everything that we've kind of talked about. It's been a scary, exciting, terrifying, exhilarating experience that we've had these last 20 months, and I look forward to, I guess, the next 12 after this, is to see what happens.
It's been a roller coaster. We've had our highs, we've had our lows, our highs and lows. It keeps going, and looks like 2022 will be the same way.
Well, talking about 2022, Thursday's evening stream is going to be on predictions for 2022, and I invite all of you to participate in that stream as well, so we can have a very good conversation like we had this evening. Before we end this broadcast, let's go around and talk a little bit about your broadcast. Let's talk a little bit about social media that you have. MJ, let's start off with you. Websites, social media, Bounce Up.
Sure. First, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and my Bounce Up broadcast here on LinkedIn is every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time. You can contact me at mj@mjcallaway.com. You can see how to spell it right there on the screen. So it's Callaway like Callaway Golf. And call me, 724-396-4162. So love to hear from you.
Very good. Very good. Sam.
I am the least organized when it comes to setting up my live stream.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. I promise. I had an idea to start a live stream called Be Local, and it's nothing more, nothing less. It's got nothing to do with industrial coatings or industrial anything. It's going down to my local butcher. It's going down to my local baker. It's going down to the guy that cuts my hair, or where I get my tires changed, and everything in between. And as I get to travel around the country for work, I'm seeking out local bars and restaurants, local establishments that are doing something cool, and I'm trying to learn their story and trying to spread their word.
That is
Excellent.
amazing.
Excellent. Yeah.
Nice.
Gabe?
Oh, so I have a lot going on.
You do.
I have a lot going on. So you can check me out on LinkedIn. I have a regular Friday night show that I call TGIF Live. And what we do there is we help people kind of learn how to live stream. So we walk them through the lessons and the progressions of what it is to kind of grow as a live stream creator. I also am the curator of the live stream calendar, where I bring together and I highlight a lot of live stream creators, simply for the fact that they need support. I am a big proponent of supporting this community and letting people understand that everybody that's taking the time and efforts to create a show, to put a message out there, deserves to be spotlighted. So I do this as a free service. I don't get paid for this. I do it out of just the pureness of wanting to help somebody else get what they want out there, because again, what happened to Jim and how the messages happen, I want people to experience that as well on the other end and go, wow, somebody connected with me. It brought tears to my eyes, or it brought me exhilaration, whatever the feelings that you get from it. So that's, for me, part of what my live stream journey has been, and what I continue to do to help other people do that. So I also started a live stream creator group for people who are interested in getting into the live streaming community. Again, it's just another layer of support for people wanting to learn, who need help, who want, again, anything that we can offer to each other helps build us out. And then I'm also working on a book to come out next year as well. It's going to cultivate my journey from the very beginning until where I'm at this point, and over the 300 interviews that I've done, the people that I've taken pieces of their interviews and pieces of what they've shared with me and put them together into a book. And I want people to understand that these connections and these conversations, they're meaningful, and they build you up as an individual on the other end. You don't know that happens for a lot of folks until they start doing it. That is something else that you take away from doing the whole aspect of being a host and doing these interviews, is that you gain perspective, you gain a whole nother level of connecting with people. So that's what I got going on. So you can check me out on LinkedIn. I'm there every day, Monday through Saturday. I do take Sundays off to kind of recoup a little bit, but every other day I'm there, again, just supporting this community I love, because I think there is so much value in what we do, and I just want people to understand that and pass that along. So that's me in a nutshell, and that's where you can find me. Reach out to me, direct message me. I answer all my direct messages. It might take a while to get back to you because I get so many, but I will get back to you. There you go.
Awesome. Eleni.
It's first of all, thank you so much, Jim, for doing this. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here and connect with all of you. And I am Eleni Anastas, and you can connect with me here on LinkedIn. Everything I do is branded under my own name, elenianastas.com. Feel free to email me directly as well, eleni@elenianastas.com. And my live stream is Finding Purpose. The Finding Purpose live stream happens every Tuesday at noon Eastern. And I intentionally choose topics that can impact people in any arena, any industry. and not just professionally, personally as well. Recently, we did a couple episodes about money mindset, how to put yourself in the driver's seat with money. We did an episode on boundaries. Tomorrow it's on worthiness. And that impacts us all, again, professionally and personally. So my goal is, what other people are saying as well, I just want to echo, it's to bring value. I believe that we're all here to give. And one of my favorite quotes, and I wish I knew who the author was, it wasn't me, but is, if the whole world gathered to give, everyone would receive. If the whole world gathered to receive, no one would get anything. So let's keep giving and sharing, and together we rise.
I love that. And you know what? I'm going to turn the table here. I know this is your show, Jim, but I'm going to ask you that question. What does Mr. James Kunkel have going forward for him, and how can people reach out to you?
Well, I'm looking obviously to really improve the Build Out series. Build Out Brief, I want to continue. And then the best way, my dog's barking right now, the best way to reach me is to connect with me on LinkedIn. Also, you can email me at jim@jimkunkel.com. You can check out information regarding the broadcast at buildoutproductions.com. And I'm looking forward to a great 22 working with all of you and really kind of growing my viewership, because I really appreciate all my viewers.
Yeah. Hey, it's gonna come. You do as a creator and as someone who takes these in, you do a very good job. You have a very good way of connecting with people, and you're very consistent. And that is the secret sauce, is that you stay consistent with what you do. It's magic. People don't realize it, but when you do it, they get so used to it. It's like building into a routine. So you have a routine already going. People will discover who you are, and I think there's a lot of good things coming for you in 2022, my friend.
I appreciate it. And I thank all of you for the friendship and the fellowship as well. With that, I guess we better hang this up. We're already almost 50 minutes into this brief. We didn't go very brief on this one. So good night, everybody. And we'll see you Wednesday at noon for Build Out. Have lunch with me on this Wednesday at noon. And then Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be talking about predictions for 2022. And hopefully 2022 will be a very interesting and a much more, let's say, fun year than the past 2 years. But we'll get through it. I know we will. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah.